There are three other people that I invited today because I had spoken to a professor. These are three students from, you really have international students today in your class. They are in a New Jersey college and they're going to spend about 2-3 months in Bangalore working on various projects around solid waste management and roads and the like. We just thought that it'd be good for them to come and get a sense of some of these things. Actually, what I'm going to do, can anybody tell me what GRR could be for BBMP?
Group of responsible residents.
Group of responsible residents. Good try. Somebody said great. Pretty patriotic ringtone. Anybody else want to take an attempt? There are actually some hints on the left side, but anyway. Garbage is, so G is for garbage. R is for roads. Revenue, so actually yeah, it's resources. So basically I'm actually going to just touch on 3 subjects. And I'm just going to give you a flavor, so I'm not going to go into too much of theory. I'm going to go straight. So I'm always saying that corporators in Bangalore need to have a GRR strategy. Focus on garbage, roads and resources, and I think Bangalore will be a better place. So that's really the... Just a quick word about my background. I mean, in my other life, I run a market research firm. But there's another part. For the last 14 years, I have been active in the urban space. I used to be a member of the Bangalore Agenda Task Force. I don't know how many of you know anything called BATF.
Yeah, we know.
Okay, so I was a member of the BATF. How many of people in this room know the self-assessment scheme? Not bad. Who, Jairaj spoke about it? Yes. So that means you've been doing your listening. So while Jairaj was the corporation commissioner who did it, I was the man behind the scenes who designed it. So that's how we worked very closely together. So we will be talking about the self-assessment scheme when we come to that. And so that was BATF. Then along with Nandan, 4 of us were responsible for helping set up the JNNURM. I think you all know the JNNURM?
Yes.
Jawaharlal Nehru. Now Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Renewal Mission happened because 4 crazy guys from Bangalore made some 15 trips to Delhi to convince the central government that we need a scheme, something like this. And then of late, you met with Raj Cherubal briefly in the previous session. So I'm also helped set up something called City Connect, where we try to get business involved on city issues and the like. Okay? So that's really been my exposure to the space. So I'm very, very passionate about trying to build better quality of life in cities. It's a pretty hopeless, difficult task, but many of us don't give up just because it's difficult. Okay? Sorry, I could go with this. So have you seen this around in Bangalore?
Yes.
Every day.
Well, I don't know whether now it's not this bad, but there was a time in August, September of last year at the height of the garbage crisis when this photo was taken, that this was a common sight across Bangalore. It was so common that we made the New York Times saying no longer garden city, now garbage city. So that was the magnitude of the problem when it came to this thing. Seen this?
Yes.
Of course, now they are tarring roads quite aggressively right now. But till about 2 weeks ago, this was extremely common. So which is really the issue of the R, the roads part of it. We already cracked what GRR stands for. And the last one really is about resources and revenue. Ki you're as good as the kind of money that you can generate, and therefore what is it that can be done out here. Now, the key question that I'd like to pose to this group is the following. Each of us have a zillion mental snaps about the problems of Bangalore. For somebody, they'll say garbage is the biggest problem. Someone else will say this road and this traffic and pollution, these are the real issues of the day. Someone else will say there is no money available to fix anything. Someone else will say this water supply is the biggest issue. You go and talk to people in slum areas, they'll say the biggest problem is alcohol shops are just outside the slum. So our men are going and drinking there and coming. These shops should not be here. So each person has a different view of what they believe are the principal problems. I mean, there's a common list that will be there. It will be around roads and garbage and pollution and traffic and all that stuff. But the order of what is the biggest problem to fix varies. So I want to now ask here, what in your view is the biggest problem in Bangalore? I know there are many, but which is the biggest? Traffic. Somebody said garbage. So how many people feel that traffic which is linked to roads is the biggest problem? Okay, there's about half the group. Garbage? So even the road people want to own the garbage problem also. So I'm happy. We are hoping that some of you will get elected and fix the problem. We're going to talk about why the problem happens and how to fix it. So this presentation is a solution presentation. We will talk about the problem, but the focus is what can we do to fix the problem? Because problem ellarigum gottu. But my Kannada is very weak. Kannada artha agate maatad solpa kashta. So when anybody asks me a question in Kannada, I can answer. ಇಲ್ಲ ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಗೊತ್ತು ನಮಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡ, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಎಷ್ಟು ಕನ್ನಡ ಗೊತ್ತು ನಾ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. We all struggling to understand. In fact, I am now planning to get myself a Kannada tutor. Okay, the question before all of us is the following. Do we accept things the way they are and do nothing about it? Or do we do something about it? So what does this group feel? The very fact that you are attending a class at 8 p.m. in the night, you obviously belong to the second group. Because this is the time Bangalore is, apart from being garbage city, is also the pub city. So there are better places to be in than in one B-clip class. And anyway, the bar closing, city closing time is only 11 p.m. So there's still time. So the question really here is, obviously we need to do something about it. But what is that something? Is basically the kind of thing that we talk about. So let me take all the three examples. Let me jump into it. Garbage, I'm told Kalpana has also spoken to you, am I right?
Yes.
So you know the garbage problem.
Yes.
So then why don't you give me a summary? Then this section I'll go much faster because Kalpana is my guru on the subject. I'm second lieutenant to Kalpana on garbage. So she is the one with the answer. So why is the garbage problem such a big problem? Anybody tell me? Yeah.
We don't segregate the waste, so that becomes a major issue.
So you're saying because we don't segregate, we have a problem. You feel that is the problem?
No, segregation into multiple,
Dry waste.
Dry, even the hazardous, non-hazardous, plastics, everything.
Okay, so now I'll tell you a situation. Now segregate martini nam manele. So I'm segregating. Contractor mix martare. So what have you gained?
Awareness is there.
So will segregation fix the problem? Is that the biggest problem? No. So since you're saying no, you must tell me what is the biggest problem?
Maintaining segregation till the last point.
Yeah.
Till the last point.
It should be right from home to the last point where it's being.
So you're saying because we are not segregating the waste and we are not transporting segregated waste as segregated waste, that is the problem.
Proper monitoring of the entire process is not there. That is the main problem.
So you're saying the main problem is we are not monitoring whatever is supposed to happen. Yes, ma'am.
I think garbage should be sorted out within a ward. It should be highly decentralized. So there is no requirement for it to get out of the ward.
Okay. So that's part of the solution. So obviously you have listened to Kalpana's talk because I hear segregation, I hear decentralized waste management. So I will tell Kalpana that people are listening. But that is still not the problem. What is the biggest problem in garbage?
Mafia behind
Mafia. Ah, now we got thing. So what does this mafia look like? Organized mafia. So unlike the other mafia, they don't kill others, okay?
Collect garbage, dump it back in the same area. That is the extent they will go in.
Okay. Anybody else wants to say? Clearly the mafia is a big problem and I'll come to that as we this.
Corruption. So the garbage right now mafia utkondiದೆ corruption ಇದೆ. Corruption ಹೋದ್ರೆ automatically mafia ಬರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ.
So mafia and corruption. Yeah.
Right now they are paid by the weight of garbage that they are disposing of.
Right.
So that's the main reason why this.
Right. So now let's go from this point in terms of this thing. So, first thing I'll tell you in the context of the garbage before I come to the thing. There are 3 or 4 slides I've got on what is the problem. You know, garbage was always around. We never had garbage in our mind as the biggest problem. But last September, we had a development where 2-3 things happened. The Pollution Control Board closed one of the landfill. The garbage contractors went on strike in sympathy with the other engineering contractors in BBMP. And the Mandur villagers said, we will not take your garbage. Okay? So the point that I want to make out here is, and it's a wake-up call not only for Bangalore, for all cities around India, the model that we can take our garbage and take it some distance away, 30, 40, 50 kilometers away, and take the garbage of 9.5 million people and go dump it in a village of 5,000 people is over. That model is not a viable model at all. Just like, for example, you all know this, why did I use the word Singur? Singur was where Mamata Banerjee put this whole protest about the Tata Nano plant and said you cannot set up by taking farmers' land like this. Today, land acquisition in the country is a big problem. You are not able to get land for industry, whatever. It's a huge problem. And it's a legitimate problem because is it fair to just take it from some people saying that this country needs it? It's wrong. So morally, that a city of 9.5 million waste can be dumped on a village of 5,000 whose children get sick, they get ailments, diseases, is fundamentally and morally wrong. So one of our big problem is our model is taking waste to landfill and out of sight, out of mind. Not a viable option. The second thing, and this is really where it comes to the mafia thing, our people who handle this waste are transport contractors. They are not garbage contractors. What is the difference? A transport contractor is interested in carrying more and more garbage, longer and longer distances. Then they get more billing. They are not interested beyond anything else because they are in the business of transport. And all the contractors are in that business fundamentally. A garbage contractor, in contrast, will say, there is wealth in waste. Let me go and extract this wealth from this waste. And therefore, they'll say, you pay me less for transportation because the waste I have got, this item is 15 rupees per kilo, this item is 10 rupees per kilo, and the like. Come, please come. Okay. So, therefore, what the mafia does is basically make sure that we continue to stay in the same model. That's why the point that I was making, I can do all the segregation I want, but if that person wants to segregation to fail, they just have to mix it in their truck and we are back to the same business. That is the problem. So even if we do all the segregation, unless you address the issue of contracts and how they are made, you don't have a solution. So you need a contract which makes it clear that you have to collect segregated waste, you have to carry segregated waste, and this is what you will do with the waste. That is important. The second question is, whose waste is it? Does the waste belong to the city called BBMP, or does the waste belong to the contractor? If the waste belongs to the contractor, why should he charge 400 crores to the city government to transport it? And if he is transporting waste at 400 crores, then he must do what the city government wants him to do with the waste. And the money collected from the waste comes to the city government. Bangalore is the city that pays the highest rate to garbage contractors in the country, highest. Bombay pays less garbage charges to contractors compared to Bangalore. So we have a serious problem out here. Other points I'll go quickly because Kalpana has already spoken to you. The professionalism in the sector is limited. Government tends to work in, everybody says capacity illa in the government. We know that, so that's another problem. So just coming quickly to the solution, because I don't want to deal too much time on garbage. You can ask me any questions at the end of this section. So what Prince Harry did in Vegas went around the world. But by and large, there's a good saying that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So similarly, the garbage of Koramangala needs to stay in Koramangala and get dealt with. There's another expression which is normally used saying NIMBY. Idella madbeku. We have to do all this. But nam backyard la beda. Alli madi. Very golle idea, but not here. There. So it's called NIMBY, not in my backyard. We have to change that to YIMBY. Yes, in my backyard. So that's really the other thing of the solution. And nowadays you must have seen that, dry-waste collections, and I'm not going to focus on this because Kalpana has already dealt with it. But essentially what we are saying is the roadmap to go from the mess we are in to the future has 3 or 4 main components. We have to